This is Austin Metcalf. On the 2nd of April 2025, during a university track meet in Frisco, Texas, the 17-year-old's life tragically, violently, and suddenly ended, all over an argument. This gentleman, Austin, was a great student. He was, by all reports, a leader, a great football player, a good guy, all of those really nice things that you would hope people would say about you when you passed away. From all reports, he was a lovely young man.
My son is gone, and I don't really have words. I've tried to figure out what I was going to say, but he's just going to be so missed.
Was able to see my son on the gurney with a huge hole and blood all over him, and they were pumping him. He wasn't breathing, and his eyes were rolled back in his head. So I had to find his brother.
Regrettably, his life ended in the most unnecessary fashion. This story is absolutely bewildering, and the events that transpired after it are even more shocking. And it left me with the question, would it have all been treated the same way if he wasn't white? Austin's life was taken by this guy, Carmelo Anthony. He's also 17 years old, from Centennial High School in Frisco, and he was identified as the assailant, and he's been charged with first-degree murder. A 17-year-old. So, why did this happen? Well, Austin asked Carmelo Anthony to leave a particular tent at the football stadium, and then he was stabbed. That's what all this was over. Don't get me wrong, there was an altercation, but those are the steps. They're the facts of the situation. Metcalf allegedly approached Carmelo. A verbal dispute ensued, and apparently Carmelo warned Austin not to touch him. He said, "Touch me and see what happens." He then reached for his backpack. When Metcalf then tried to remove the murderer again, he pulled a giant knife from his backpack and stabbed him in the heart. It's very heavy, this story. Carmelo then ran away from the situation. Now, at this point, Metcalf is bleeding out profusely. Perhaps it severed his aorta or punctured a hole in his heart. He asked for help, and help came quickly. When I read the police reports on this story, it's a very traumatic and extremely distressing affair, it seems, for everybody involved. CPR was administered and he was rushed to hospital, but he couldn't be saved. He was unresponsive moments after the incident, and then he never woke up. He didn't deserve it. I know people that lose family members all the time, but I just didn't know it would be mine so soon. My best friend, my brother, my whole life. That was from Hunter, Austin's brother and twin. Apparently he held Austin as he laid on the ground, dying. And perhaps the most distressing part of this initial story is that all of this took place at 10 a.m. in the morning. What is this young man doing with a knife? What has happened to this young man in his life leading up to this point, where his first point of rebuttal to an argument is to pull a giant knife on someone? And who has raised this child where they believe that it's okay to inflict deadly damage upon someone immediately? Like, this is a very quick situation that's happened, at least from what I've seen, and I assume, and this is all my opinion, of course, but this seems to be his almost initial reaction. I'm sure he's pushed back, or maybe he's argued, or there's people yelling at each other. But to reach into your bag, as soon as someone says, "Hey, get out of here," to reach in your bag and pull a knife out and thrust it into someone's flesh is absolutely crazy. And it says a lot about the youth. And usually in these videos, you'd probably say, it says a lot about the youth in America, but it seems to be everywhere, all over the first world at the moment. Young men are committing heinous crimes. I don't know why that is. Well, it's definitely because their fathers are just piss poor examples of men. And I know people want to blame toxic masculinity for this, but that's just a buzzword and just a great way for people to blame men that do anything on just being a man. It's not that. It's to do with whatever has happened to this young man in his life. Like something has gone wrong here, surely. Carmelo was then arrested. He was found and put in handcuffs. The arresting officer communicated to the other first responders on the scene that he had the alleged assailant in custody, to which Carmelo allegedly said, "I'm not alleged, I did it." He also then reportedly said that he put his hands on me and I told him not to. On top of all of that, while sitting in the back of the police car, he asked if Metcalf was going to be okay and reportedly asked the officer if what he did would be considered self-defense. He then went off to jail. Maybe these were moments that he was just going, what have I done? I hope he's going to be okay. Do you think I can get away with this? I'm going to be locked up forever? Because this kid's just ruined his life over nothing. Obviously destroyed Austin's life and his family's lives. His brother's life will never be the same. But he's ruined his own. Like, for what? Over what? At this point, it's important to note that in this part of Texas, a 17-year-old will be tried as an adult, and in this case, tried for first-degree murder, but he cannot face the death penalty, apparently. So that's interesting as well. Judge Angela Tucker agreed to release the accused from jail, citing his clean criminal record, other than stabbing someone in the heart because of an argument, and background in academics and athletics. Don't worry about the stabbing that just happened. He's not a danger. He's good at maths. He was placed under house arrest with an ankle monitor. His bond had also been lowered from $1 million down to $250K. Mike Howard, the lawyer for the accused, said that he would plead not guilty and claim self-defense at his future trial. So this story is obviously tragic, but it's what's happened since that really made me want to make this video. Obviously, these things happen. Horrific events like this happen. People lose the plot. They lose their mind. It's got nothing to do with white or black, okay? And I know people want to make it about race. It doesn't. Like, there's white dudes that stab black dudes. There's black dudes that stab white dudes. There's black people that stab black people. White people stab white people. Mate, this happens, okay? And I don't think that Carmelo Anthony did this because Austin was white. I think that's the point, right? I don't think he did that because he's white. It's not a race thing between these two young men. But everyone else made it a race thing. And that's what's concerning. So this story went viral. And what happened next is the victim's family made a GoFundMe. And here it is, $500,000 on the way to $1 million. 12,000 people have donated. That's a lot of money. And I'm sure it's going to help them with funerals and costs associated with it, and probably just give them a leg up in life as well after they've lost, how are you going to work after your kid's just been murdered? But here's the kicker. The killer's family, the alleged killer's family, even though he admitted to it, has started their own fundraiser on Give, Send, Go, all to help with his legal defense, to defend himself for murdering a child. Now, you would probably think, and I think we would all probably think this, that if you saw someone who murdered and admitted to murdering someone, if they tried to start a GoFundMe or a Give, Send, Go or a raffle, people would probably tell them to fuck off. Why would we give our money to someone who would do such a horrific thing? Not in this case at all. Oh, fuck. What about this? There's more people have donated to this than Austin's by quite a bit. So here's the purpose of the fundraiser for the alleged killer's family. The purpose of the fund. While legal defense is a critical part of this journey, we want to make it clear that this fund is not solely dedicated to legal expenses. Okay, so they have to put that at the start. The funds raised will also support a range of urgent and necessary needs that have emerged as a result of this situation, your son killing someone allegedly, including but not limited to the safe relocation of the Anthony family due to escalating threats to their safety and well-being, as well as basic living costs, transportation, counselling, and other security measures. So groceries... pay for our groceries. Our son killed someone. We ask you for your continued prayer, support, and solidarity. What? Your contribution will not only helps protect and stabilize the family, but also serves as a powerful message of community care and resistance in the face of injustice. Now, the police haven't released any videos of the incident, and I wonder if that's deliberate. I wonder if they know that this proves that it wasn't self-defense. I don't know. I'm just speculating. Thank you for always standing with the Anthonys, it says. Standing with? What the fuck? Why did your son have a knife in his backpack, mate? He was at a football game at 10 in the morning. Why is his first move to lunge it into someone's chest? Even though there was witnesses who claimed that this was not a self-defense situation, that this was just like mad, this was crazy. They're still going through with this, and they've raised $500,000. This is US dollars too, so it's like 750K Australian. From everything I've read and everything I've seen and everyone who's discussed this, there is no chance that lethal force was justified. Zero chance. I'm just shocked that over 15,000 people would donate money to someone who's killed someone. Like, what the fuck is this? There's no other answer than it being because Carmelo, whatever his name is, happens to be a black dude. Because they would never do this for a white kid. No way. Particularly when everyone has said, no, it was not self-defense. That's crazy. Now, I know you're probably going to point to Kyle Rittenhouse immediately, but here's the problem with the Kyle Rittenhouse situation. He had people running at him with guns, and some dude was trying to hit him in the head with a skateboard. I know you're like, skateboard. Have you ever felt how hard trucks are on the bottom of a skateboard? That'll kill you. From all reports, the incident that happened in Frisco was just a push and shove and an altercation of young dudes yelling at each other. And a young boy died. Like, it doesn't matter who started this also. It does not matter at all. Someone died. Someone escalated to the point of no return in what seems to be an unjust situation. And what's absolutely mad about this is the media aren't up in arms about this either. No one's going, this is absolutely crazy that people would give all this money to the alleged killer's family. You'd think that the media would be in shock. No, they're in support, which would not happen if Carmelo was white or brown. And if he was brown, his name would be Caramello. Thought I'd throw one joke in this video. Also, the Anthony family is apparently living in a house that's worth like $1 million, or at least renting it, and then they need $3.5K a month to rent it in a gated community. Now, it's not fair that they are being attacked or they're being threatened, of course, and no one should threaten anyone, okay, if I have to make that clear. But wouldn't you think that they should do that under their own steam? Why should they get a leg up because their son's done something allegedly horrific? Now, I would like to just state that I don't think this whole thing's to do with race, okay? This is just an unfortunate situation between two young men that should never have happened. But I would like to say this. I think most of the people that paid money, that donated money to Anthony's fund are white people. Yeah. I think that the vast majority of people that paid into his fund were white, what would be called woke people, who are like, they're just desperate to virtue signal, and they're like, yes, this poor boy who happens to be black, we need to support him even though he's killed someone allegedly. That's what I genuinely think. I genuinely think these are all like some really far left leaning, like full like mad people, and they're like, right, we need to give them some money so they can, because of all the systemic racism that they've had to deal with and slavery, we'll give them some, like, this is how people think. I genuinely think that. I think that these, like, the skinny blue-haired fucking whingers on the internet, they are the people who are paying this money into his legal defense because they are trying to virtue signal and apologize for things because they've got white guilt. I genuinely think that's what's going on. I'm sure some people in the black community are getting behind him as well, but it shouldn't be a race thing. Like, these kids' lives should matter equally because they are children. That's the number one thing here. Now, I absolutely know that if the roles were reversed, we would have another George Floyd situation on our hands, but we don't. We don't have anyone up in arms. We don't have anyone upset. We should be all fucking upset. Regardless of the color of your skin, you should be pissed off about this because a young boy's life has been ended by some fucking violent maniac, allegedly. You didn't see Derek Chauvin, the dude who fucking had his knee on old mate's neck. You didn't see him getting a big 500, 600K legal defense from fucking Give, Send, Go. And I will say this about Give, Send, Go. People are like, well, why would they have it on there? This is from the co-founder, Jacob Wells, because he's experienced a lot of backlash over this. He expressed personal discomfort with hosting the campaign, but defended it on the grounds of free speech and the presumption of innocence. Good fucking on him. That's a controversial stance. That is a controversial way to look at things, but that is exactly what free speech should be. It should be controversial. Ladies and gentlemen, let me know what you think in the comment section down below. Have I got this completely wrong? Am I spot on? What do you think? Do you think I'm right? Do you think I'm wrong? Do you think I actually give a shit what you think? Let me know in the comment section down below. And I'm sorry to make a very serious video, but I think this is a very serious topic that needed to be talked about on more platforms than it had been already. So ladies and gentlemen, be a good motherfucker. Peace in the Middle East. Me Dick Stinks. Toodaloo au revoir. Bye-bye.